The 2 minute rule. Even when you know you should start small, it is easy to start too big. When you dream about making a change, excitement inevitably takes over, and you end up trying to do much too soon. The most effective way I know to counteract effective way to counteract this tendency is to use the 2 minute rules, which states when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. You will find that nearly any habit can be scaled down into a 2 minute version. Read before bed each night becomes read one page. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes take take out my yoga mat. Study for class becomes open my notes. Fold fold the laundry becomes fold one pair of socks. Run 3 miles becomes tie my running shoes. The the idea is to make your habit as easy as possible to start. Anyone can meditate for 1 minute, read one page, or put one item to clothing away. And as we have just discussed, this is a powerful strategy because once you have started doing the right thing, it is much easier to continue doing it. A new habit should not feel like a challenge. The actions that follow can be challenging, but the first 2 minutes should be easy. What you want is get what you want is a getaway habit that naturally leads you down a more productive path. You can usually figure out the gateway habits that will lead to your desired outcome by mapping out your goals on a scale from very easy to very hard. For instance, running a marathon is very hard. Running a 5 5k is hard. Walking 10,000 steps is moderately difficult. Walking 10 minutes is easy. And putting on your running shoes is very easy. Your goal might be to run a marathon, but your getaway habit is to put on your running shoes. That how you follow the 2 minute rule. Very easy. Writer gives us there a chart that is very easy, moderate, hard to very hard level. I will explain that right now. Put on your running shoes. Easy, then easy. Walk 10 minutes, then moderate. Walk 10,000 steps, then run a 5,000, then run a marathon. Write one sentence. Write a paragraph. Write 1,000 words. Write a 5,000 words article. Write a book. Open your notes. Study for 10 minutes. Study for 3 hours. Get straight A's. Earn a PhD. People often think it is weird to get hyped about reading one page, or meditating for 1 minute, or making one sales call. But the point is not to do one thing. The point is to master the habit of showing up. The truth is, a habit must be established before it can be improved. If you can't learn if you cannot learn the basic skill of showing up, then you have little hope of mastering the finer details. Instead of trying to engineer a perfect habit from the start, do the easy thing on a more consistent basis. You have to you have to standardize before you can optimize. Standardize before you get optimize. You can optimize. As you master the art of showing up, the first 2 minutes simply become a ritual at the beginning of larger routine. This is not merely a hack to make habits easier, but actually the ideal way to master a difficult skill. The more you ritualize the beginning of a process, the more likely it becomes that you can slip into the state of deep focus that is required to do great things. By doing the same warm up before every workout, you make it easier to get into a state of peak performance. By following the same creative ritual, you make it easy to get into the hard work of creating. By developing a consistent power down habit, you you make it easier to get to bed at a reasonable time each night. You may not be able me you may not be able to automate the whole process, but you can make the first action mindless. Make it easy to start, and the rest will follow. The 2 minute rule can seem like a trick to some people. You know that the real goal is to do more than just 2 minutes. So it may feel like you are trying to fool yourself. Nobody is actually advising to read one page or do one push up or open their notes. And if you know it is a mental trick, why would you fall for it? Look, if the 2 minute feels forced, try this. Do it for 2 minutes and then stop. Go for a run, but you must stop after 2 minutes. Start meditating, but you must stop after 2 minutes. Study Arabic, but you must stop after 2 minutes. It is not a strategy for starting; it is the whole thing. Your habit can only last 100. Your your habit can only last 120 seconds. One of my readers used this strategy to lose over 100 pounds. Over 100 pounds means 45 kgs. In the beginning, he went to the gym each day, but he told himself he wasn't allowed to stay for more than 5 minutes. He would go to the gym, exercise for 5 minutes, and leaves as soon as his time was up. After a few weeks, he looked around and thought, well, I'm always coming here anyway. I might as well start staying a little longer. A few years later, the weight was gone. Journaling provides another example. Nearly everyone can benefit from getting their thoughts out of their head and put onto paper, but most people give up after a few days, or avoid it entirely because journaling feels like a chore. The secret is to always stay below the point where it feels like work. Greg McNaughton, a leadership consultant from the United Kingdom, built a daily journaling habit by specifically writing less than he feel like. He always stopped journaling before it seems like a hassle. Ern- Ernest 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 Hemingway believed 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 in similar advice for any kind of writing. The best way is to always stop when you are going good. He said strategies like this work for another reason. uh, ano- Strategies like this work for another reason too. They reinforce the identify you want to build. If you show up at the gym 5 days in a row, even if it is just for 2 minutes, you are casting votes for your new identity. You are not worried about getting in shape. You are focused on becoming the type of person who doesn't miss workouts. You are taking the smallest action that confirms that type of person you want to be. We rarely think about change this way because everyone is consumed by the end goal. But one push up is better than not exercising. 1 minute of guitar practicing is better than not none at all. 1 minute of reading is better than never picking up a book. It is better to do less than you hope than to do nothing at all. At some point, once you are establishing, at At some point, once you at some point one at some point once you have established the habit and you're showing up each day, you can combine the 2 minute rule with technique we call habit shaping to scale your habit back up toward your ultimate goal. Start by mastering the first 2 minutes of your smallest version of the behavior. Then advance to an intermediate step and repeat the process, focusing on just the first 2 minutes and mastering that stage before moving on to the next level. Eventually, you will end up with the habit you had originally hoped to build, while still keeping your focus where it should be, on the first 2 minutes of the behavior. Example of the habit shaping: becoming an early riser. Be home by 10 p.m. every night. Second phase: have all devices, TV, phone, etc. turned off by 10 p.m. every night. Phase 3: be in bed by 10 p.m. every night, reading a book, talking with a partner. Everything can anything can be anything can do. Phase 4: lights off by 10 p.m. every night. Phase 5: wake up at 6 a.m. every day. Becoming vegan is start eating vegetables at each meal, stop eating animals food for four legs, cow, pig, lamb, etc. Stop eating animals with two legs, chicken, turkey. Stop eating animals with no legs, fish, clams, fish, fish, clams, scallops, etc. Phase 5: stop eating all animal products, egg, milk, cheese. Astaghfirullah. Then starting to exercise. One, change it to workout clothes. Phase 2: step out the door, try taking a walk. Phase 3: drive to the gym, exercise for 5 minutes and leave. Phase 4: exercise for 15 minutes at least once per week. Phase 5: exercise 3 times per week. Nearly any life goal can be transformed into a 2 minute behavior. I want to live a healthy and long life. I need to stay in shape. I need to exercise. I need to change into my workout clothes. I want to have a happy marriage. I need to be a good partner. I should do something each day to make my partner's lives easier. I should meal plan for next week. Whenever you're struggling to stick with a habit, you can employ the 2 minute employ the 2 minute rule. It is simple way to make your habits easy. Chapter summary: habits can be completed in a few seconds, but continue to impact your behavior for minutes or hours afterward. Many habits occur at decisive moments, choice that are like a fork in the road, and either send you in the direction of productive day or an unproductive one. The 2 minute rule states when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. The more you ritualize the beginning of a process, the more likely it becomes that you can slip into the state of deep focus that is required to do great things. Standardize before you optimize. You cannot improve a habit that doesn't exist. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. Chapter 14. In the summer of 1830, Victor Hugo was facing an impossible deadline 12 months earlier. The French author had promised the publisher a new book, but instead of writing, he spent that year pushing other projects, entertaining guests, and delaying his work. First, frustrated, frustrated, Hugo's publisher responded by setting a deadline less than 6 months away. The book had to be finished by February 1831. Hugo, 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 Hugo counted a strange plan to beat his procrastination. He collected all of his clothes and asked an assistant to lock them away in a large chest. chest. He was left with nothing to wear except a large shawl, lacking any suitable clothes to go outdoors. He remained his study and wrote furiously during the fall and winter of 1830. The Hunchback of Notre Dame was published 2 weeks earlier on January 1831. Sometimes success is less about making good habits easy and more about making bad habits hard. This is an inversion of third law of behavioral change. Make it difficult. If you find yourself continually struggling to follow through on your plans, then you can take a page from Victor Hugo and make your bad habits more difficult by creating what psychologists call committive committive deceit. A commitment deceive is a choice you make in the present that controls your actions in the future. It is a way to lock in future behavior, bind your good habits, and restrict you from bad ones. When Victor Hugo shut his clothes away so he could focus on writing, he was creating a commitment deceive. There are many ways to create a commitment deceive. You can reduce overeating by purchasing food in 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 individual packages rather than in bulk size. You can voluntarily ask to be added to the banned list at casinos and online poker sites to prevent future gambling sprees. I have even heard of athletes who have to make weight for for a competition, choosing to leave their wallets at home during the week before weigh in, so they won't be they will be tempted to buy fast food. As another example, my friend and fellow habits expert Neil purchased an outlet outlet timer, which is an adapter that he plugged in between his internet router and the power outlet. At 10 p.m. each night, the outlet timer cuts off the uh, power to the root when the internet goes off. Everyone knows it is time to go to bed. Commitment deceives are useful because they enable you to take advantage of good intentions before you can fall victim to temptation. Whenever I am looking to cut calories, for example, I will ask the waiter to split my meal and box half of it to go before the meal is served. If I waited until the meal came out and told myself I'll just eat half, it would never work. The key is to change the task such that requires more work to get out of the good habit than to get started on it. If you feeling motivated to get in shape, schedule a yoga session and pay ahead of time. If you are excited about the business you want to start, email an entrepreneur you respect and set up a consulting call. When the time comes to act, the only way to bail is to cancel the meeting, which requires effort and may cost money. Commitment deceives increase the odds that you will do the right thing in the future by making habits difficult in the present. However, we can do even better. We can make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. How to New section, how to automate a habit and never think about it again. John Henry Pattinson was born in born in Dayton, Ohio, US in 1844. He spent his childhood doing chores on the family farm and working shifts at his father's sawmill. His father's sawmill. After attending college at Dartmouth, Pattinson returned to Ohio and opened a small supply store for coal miners. It seemed like a good opportunity. The store faced little competition and enjoyed a steady stream of customers, but still struggling to make money. That was when Pattinson discovered his employees were stealing from him. In the mid 1800s, theft was a common problem. Receipts were kept in an open drawer and could easily be altered or discarded. There were no video cameras to review before and no software track transactions unless you were willing to hover over your employees every minute of the day, or to manage all transactions yourself. It was difficult to prevent theft. As Pattinson moved over his predicament, he came across an advertisement for a new invention called Ruti's Ruti's Riti's 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 incorruptible cashier, designed by fellow Dayton resident James Ritty. It was the first cash register. It was the first cash register. The machine automatically locked the cash and receipts inside after each transaction. Pattinson bought two for $50. Two for $50 each. Employee theft at his store vanished overnight. In the 6 months, Pattinson business way from losing money to make 500 in profit, the equivalent the equivalent of more than the 100,000 today. Pattinson was so impressed with the machine that it changed business. He bought the rights to Ritty's invention and opened the National Cash Register Company. 10 years later, National Cash Register Company had over 1,000 employees and was on his way to becoming one of the most successful businesses it, of its time. The best way to break a habit is to make impractical to do. Increase the fiction until you don't even have the option to act. The brilliance of the cash register was that it automated ethical behavior by making stealing practically impossible. Rather than trying to change the employees, it made the preferred behavior automatic. Some actions like installing a register pay off again and again. This one time choice require a little bit of effort front upfront upfront, but create increasing value over time. I am fascinating by the idea that a single choice can deliver returns again and again, and I survey my readers on their favorite on one time actions that lead to better long term habits. The table on the following page shares some most popular answers. I would I would I I would wager that if the average person were to simply do half of the one time action on this list, even if they didn't give another thought to their habits, most Most would find themselves living a better life a year from now. This one-time actions are a straightforward way to employ the third law to employ the third law of behavior change. They make it easier to sleep well, eat healthy, be productive, save money, and generally live better. Outcome one time actions that lock in good habits. Nutrition. Buy a water filter to clean your drinking water. Use smaller plates to reduce caloric intake. Sleep. Buy a good mattress. Get blackout curtains. Remove your television from your bedroom. Productivity. Unsubscribe from emails. Turn off notifications and mute group chats. Set your phone to silent. Use email filters to clear up your inbox. Delete games and social media apps on your phone. Happiness. Get a dog. Move to a friendly social neighborhood. General health. Get vaccinated. No. Buy good shoes to avoid back pain. Buy a supportive chair on standing desk. Enroll finance. Enroll in an automatic saving plan. Set up set up Set up automatic bill pay. Cut cable service. Ask service providers to lower your bills. Of course, of course, of course, there are many ways to automate good habits and eliminate bad ones. Typically, they involve putting technology to work for you. Technology can transform actions that were once hard, annoying, and complicated into behaviors that are easy, painless, and simple. It is the most reliable and effective way to guarantee the right behavior. This is particularly useful for behaviors that happen too infrequently to become habitual. Things you have to do monthly or yearly, like rebalancing your investment portfolio, are never repeated frequently enough to become a habit. So they benefit in particular from technology remembering to do them for you. Other examples include medicine. Prescriptions can be automatically refilled. Personal finance. Employees can save for retirement with an automatic wage education. Cooking. Meal delivery services can do your grocery shopping. Productivity. Social media browsing can be cut off with a website blocker. When you automate as much of your life as possible, you can spend your effort on the task machines cannot do yet. Each habit that we hand over to the authority of technology frees up time and energy to pour into the next stage of growth. As mathematician and philosopher Alfred North Whitehead wrote, civilization advanced by extending the number of operations we can perform without thinking about them. Of course, the power of technology can work against us as well. Being 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 watching becomes a habit because being watching becomes a habit because you have to put more effort into stop looking at the screen than to continue doing so. Instead of pressing a button to advance to the next episode, Netflix or YouTube will autoplay it for you. All you have to do is keep your eyes open. And technology creates a level of convenience that enables you to act on your smallest whims and desires. At the mere suggestion of hunger, you can have food delivered to your door. At the slightest hint of bedroom, you can get lost in the vast expanse of social media. When the effort required to act on your desires become effectively zero, you can find yourself slipping into whatever impulse arise at the moment. The downside of automation is that we find ourselves jumping from easy task without making time for more difficult, but ultimately more rewarding work. Till then, Assalamu alaikum.